Okay, let me go on and make this video, okay, or whatever. I just feel like as all the events that have happened, going on in the world and like my life and stuff like that, one thing that I haven't talked about was autism. As a black male with autism, I definitely see where people are coming from when it comes to certain things like with certain topics and situations and stuff like that. I understand because as a black male with autism, I understand like what they're saying and stuff like that. But like my thing is with it, I went through my trials and tribulations. My things that I'm not saying I lived like a terrible fucked up childhood. I'm just saying I lived through things. I went through things that maybe I didn't want a certain type of way. I wish things could have been a certain type of way that than what they were and shit like that. But it just comes to a point. But it's just like, I really feel like the misconception that a lot of people have with autism is that people think that, people find that people with autism usually like their behaviors are weird or unusual. Even with families that have a family member that's autistic or on the spectrum, and I just feel like, a lot of times, when it comes to like the school setting, when it comes to society, when it comes to the workforce, a lot of people autism get stereotyped a lot because people don't understand autism the way that the autistic person wants them to understand them. So when they act out or when they do certain behaviors, they see it as this, but that's not really what they're trying to do or trying to bring or do. That's not what they're trying to do, but that's what autism is doing. Autism, as what people see it as their behavior, not necessarily as a bad thing. It's just that they see it as that, and that's the problem. That's the problem is that we live in a world where people stereotype a lot. People stereotype a lot, and people and all that stuff. And I'm just like, I don't have a problem. You see, I have autism, and like I've did some things in my life where my family views me a certain type of way or sees things a certain type of way with me because I did these things, but and a lot of times as other parents did, growing up with people that has ASD, they also they you know they did therapy, sent them to mental hospitals, therapy group homes, and therapy to foster homes because they think that if they're away from their family, they're away from their family or they talk to someone that's not other than their family, that things are gonna get better for them. And I'm just like, that's never the case. I'm just like, that's never the case because just think about it like this. Think about it like this. Like we might see it as to this right. We may see, like, for me, I can't speak on nobody with autism that has autism, but I'm being a voice for them, but I can't speak if that's not their direct influence. But I feel like, maybe I didn't need therapy. For me, I felt like a lot of times I didn't need therapy. I felt like I just needed my family to understand that maybe this is who I am, this is how I act, and this is how I am and stuff like that, and know that you can't really change people and who they are as who they are, if that's just who they are as a person. And I feel like a lot of times, that I did a lot of things to make them see it the way that see me the way that they do, or view my situation the way that they do, even now being an adult. And I've always stressed growing up that that me being an adult things will get better. But you know I always, now as I got older, as me experiencing things, I felt like that's a lie. And I feel like, and I would be blatantly honest, that maybe the way I've reacted towards things, maybe wasn't the best way I could have reacted towards things. Maybe the way I did things could have been more better than what they were. Maybe I could have acted a certain type of way than for about things, I could have. But I always felt like in the back of my head, I always felt like, that things didn't have to be that way. And sometimes I feel like, I always felt like, and through my head, I always felt like, that they didn't have to be like that, you know. Like I felt like I feel like, you know, my family sees me as like a rebel, but I wouldn't call my behaviors rebel. Like I would call it, you know, as, you know, I didn't know how to handle certain situations better or properly, so I reacted based off how I felt like I knew was the best way to act, whether that was good or bad. I acted on what I thought was the best reaction. Sometimes it was my fault on what I did. Sometimes it wasn't. But it's just like, even if the outcome of someone else reacted, I still acted out on what I felt was the best way to handle a situation. Maybe it's not maybe the most appropriate way, but it was the way I felt like I had to handle it. And I'm just like, you know, and I just feel like at the end of the day, I felt like, you know, and I feel like with anybody, I feel like understanding is really the key thing. It's really a key thing into, you know, into it's really a key thing. It's understandings with that person. Understand that, you know, like it goes back to what I said. Understand that that's who they are, and you can't really change. Who can't really change that, no matter how many times you feel like you want to, or how many times you feel like you don't agree with things that they do. Sometimes it's just like you can't change if that's who they are. Like certain things, you know, I just feel like that things could have been better than what they were. You know, I felt like things could have been better, but it's just like, what was I doing to get to? It's just like, you know, it's just like, it's like I always say that everybody plays their part for a particular situation or problem to happen. Everybody does. So it's kind of like, in a sense where it's like, you know, people just don't act that way just because, you know, things have to contribute and happen and transpire for that to happen. It's not like a magical thing that just happens, you know. And I just feel like behaviors, especially within a person, especially when it starts in the household, I feel like it doesn't really have. I think it does, in my opinion, it doesn't really happen. But it doesn't happen just cause like, just cause things are transpiring for that to happen. So they get in their heads. So people get in their heads that this is how they should react towards it. This is how they should react towards it, you know. And I'm not, you know, and people a lot of times when it comes to like some, I'm not gonna say every adult, but I'm just like some adults, you know. I always in a lot of my peers, you know, they see, you know, when they get sides from my family and they get my side, they see, or they see my situation and they observe it. They see like, oh, I'm kind of like spoiled or whatever, like a brat, a spoiled brat. But I don't see it like that. I feel like I'm a little bit more fortunate than others, but I just don't. But I also feel like just because you're a little bit more fortunate than others, or like things, or whatever the case may be, I feel like there's always that thing that, you know, the child always sees their life being a certain type of way, and when they don't, whether it's good or bad, they want their childhood to be a certain type of way, and when it's not, certain things they, you know, they react a certain type of way because they want things to be a certain type of way, and when that's not given to them, what does a kid usually do? They act out. That's what they do, you know. And I'm just like, for all intents, for like, you know. And I feel like too, you know, growing up, like too, I got bullied a lot in school for like just having autism and being who I was, and like I didn't get the support I wanted or needed at home with that. So I felt like as I got older, being in school, I was just like, fuck school, you know. I don't just, you know, forget about school. I don't need it because, you know, of what I was going through in school, and like I wasn't getting the proper support I needed for order to do good in school and not, and like all that stuff. So it's kind of like that's what I was dealing with, you know. And that's why that's why I think I just decided to drop out, was because I didn't want to deal with the BS that I was dealing with in school. And since I wasn't having the proper support at home about it, I just feel like that, in my opinion, that's what happened. that's what happened. I just end up just being, and stuff like that. And like, I feel like autism is one of those things that you can be diagnosed with, and people have some misconceptions about it. Have some misconceptions about it. I just feel like there's different forms of it. Like I'm on the Asperger's side, but people just usually say autism. Just generalize it as autism. But I'm more on the Asperger's side, more higher functioning than others, or whatever. Could be a little bit independent than others and stuff like that, which is fine, understandable. But I just feel like, in my opinion, that things can. I always feel like that things can get better for me, as far as like what I feel like I'm necessarily going through, what I feel like things could have or things could get better. I always have that notion in the back of my head that things could get better. I always have that notion. I always have that thing in my head, but I always feel like it could. It can get better if we all do our part for that to happen. I feel like it's just not a one man effort thing or one man effort thing. It's like everything that has to happen, like everybody has to do their part. It's like it can't be just one person do it. And I get it. As long as you're doing your part, other people don't matter, which is fine and cool and all that stuff. But I'm just like, here's this, like, you know, like I'm not saying at all neither I'm an easy person to get along with or anything like that. I'm not saying that I am, but I'm just saying that there's things that I feel like, in my opinion, could have gotten better or could get better to make the situation better. That's all I'm suggesting. I feel like my biggest thing, like right now with me, I feel like it's my autism, it's my family, and I feel like my autism plays a contributing factor into why I have the relationship I have with my family, why I see what they do a certain type of way because of that. And I feel like, and why they see things that I do a certain type of way. And I feel like that's the reason I feel like my autism really has that contributing factor to play with it. Because I feel like if quote unquote, what people standards is called normal or society, I feel like that wouldn't have been the case because but I feel like my autism played in a factor into that. And I feel like and I feel like I've been to, like, and like I said, I've been through group homes, dead pitfalls, the homes and stuff like that, but really, and stuff like that. But I didn't feel like it was making me better as a person. I feel like deep down that I still felt the way that I felt because I felt like that wasn't the answer to my problems that I was having. I just feel like understanding is more what I wanted from the situation. And I'm not saying my family's a bad person. I'm not saying that they are, but there's always things that you don't agree with that people do. But I always say it's how you handle it and stuff like that. But I always feel like autism is one of those things. It's either you understand or you don't. There's no in between middle type of things. Either you do or you don't. It's like because this is how it is. That's how I see it. But and I'm not saying that I'm innocent. I'm innocent, and I'm not saying my family is guilty. I feel like we all did our parts, and I feel like that's what we did for it to be this way. Now that's what it is. And I feel like a lot of times I act that way because I feel like it's not. I feel like it's all about, because I feel like they don't know how to properly handle my autism, the way that I would not react that type of way towards certain situations that when I interact with them, and I feel like that's the biggest problem that I face is that. And I feel like a lot of times, sorry about that, that it's like that, but it doesn't have to be, but sometimes as situations occur, or as I get mad with them. But even when I'm not, I always tell myself, how would it feel? How would it be if, if, and only if the world saw my situations, heard my side and their side, heard my side and their side, and how the world would view it. Maybe they would agree with my mom, my family. Maybe they might agree with me. Maybe they might agree with both. Maybe they might be in the middle and agree with both. Sometimes I want to know. I want to know because I want to know, am I the only one? And like I know for any race, don't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, mixed, whatever. I want to know, does any other family go through this too? Because I want to know. Because I feel like that's the biggest thing, and I feel like because I feel like I'm not the only one who goes through this. Who's like this. That's on the autism spectrum. That's like this. I feel like I'm not out there, but I feel like I'm not, and I feel like I'm not. I feel like I don't want to just hear only my story. I want to see other people's story and see their viewpoint of how you feel like things could be or get better or whatever, because because I know I'm not the only one who sees it that way. I know I'm not the only one who sees it that way, or I know I'm not. My family's not the one who sees it that way, but I just wanna know because I'm always curious of that. I'm always curious of like, what is it gonna be like if they see it? What are they gonna see? Like, are they gonna even see it like my way or whatever? Like, are they gonna see it their way, my family's way, or my way? Like, I want to know, and if people do understand me, like what can I do to make it better since it's publicly out there, or maybe if they understand my family's coming from, what can they do better to make it better and stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm an easy person to deal with. I'm just saying that that there's things that people can work on, but I always that people can work on, but I always feel like autism is one of those things that the world doesn't really understand, like we claim to do, because like we claim to do. I always feel like it's not through our words, but it's not through our words, but it's through our actions. And I feel like personally for me, if someone really sat down with me and I couldn't get you know every, they asked me to spill everything on how I feel and why I did what I did, everything, and I won't get in trouble for it. No one's not gonna tell on me. I feel like certain things will be splurged out, and I feel like that's what it would. I feel like they would be splurged out. A lot of times, I feel like too when I do talk to people, I have to be mindful of what I say because I can't say everything. Because people are they gonna view me as being crazy, whatever. But that's not what I'm. People want my viewpoint, want how I feel, my side of the story, and how I feel about it. And that's just how But I can never really come out and just say everything, because it's just like because you know that's just how it is. But I feel how I feel, but I'm not mad with nobody. I just I'm not hating on my family, but I just feel like a lot of people, even outside people that know me, or people that I talk to, they see me as a spoiled brat or whatever, or they see me ungrateful or whatever. They feel like I didn't go through a hard life. I'm not trying to go through a hard life. I'm just saying that my relationship with my family could be better, and this is why I feel like it could be, and that's just or like my childhood could have been the way, or could have been more happier for me if if certain things was to play in a contributing factor. Things with a contributing factor, even my adult years now. It could be if things play and if things play out the way that they should be played out in, because if things would happen the way that they should happen, then then it would be then none of this would have happened. None of that would have happened. But since it happened, what can I do? What can I do now? Nothing I can do, because these things happened, and like now we at now, and I feel like now that I'm at an age where where my family doesn't have to do anything anymore if they don't want to. Like, I'm not saying that that's still not helping me, but it's still like, okay, yes, people can still help. can still help you. You know, people that truly care about you can still, especially your family, I can still help you even on to the, even after you're an adult, even out that you're an adult and everything. But still, it's just the point of what I'm making is that things could be better. Is that things could be better. Maybe I can handle a certain situation better. Maybe my family, can, But it's all these questions that I ask myself. So where that I just feel like understanding is really the most important thing and the really main key thing of a situation of why things are the way that they are. Because I feel like that understanding piece is not there. And I feel like that's where the problems always lie in because we don't understand like we claim to do. So it's just like this is so like problems just keep happening and happening. And I would say, and I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of situations where I've handled it inappropriately than what I should have, and things that I've did. Maybe not necessarily dealing with them, but maybe certain things happening or things I felt was going on, and I reacted the way that I did, necessarily not with them, but just because was maybe certain things were going on, also I didn't like, and stuff like that. But I always feel like, in my opinion, that things could get better. I always have that thought at the back of my head, whether people ask me or not, that things can always get better, but people never let. But it's never like that, It's never like that. You know, I'm not saying, for me, I'm not saying that they hate me or I hate them. I'm just saying that I see, I see that things are not, could be more better than what they are. I feel like what they are, but they're not. And I feel like that's why it is what it is because we have that mindset about things, so we just see it as just that and nothing but that. But I always tell myself, things can get better. They always can and they always will. That's what I tell myself. I tell myself that that things can get better than what they are. People have their viewpoint on things, but and people don't have to agree with me. People don't have to ever agree with me, but it's just the point of what I'm making, of what I'm saying. That's the point of it. Like, and and I feel like here's this, the Nicholas Cruz shooting when he shot up the school or whatever. You know, I don't agree what he did at all. I'm not saying he should go do that, but what I'm saying is that he has a right to be frustrated if people are making him mad. I feel like that's a general feeling to feel. If people make you mad, you have the right to be mad. But it's just how you respond and handle it that make the difference, right? And that's how I feel about that. I feel like people maybe was bullying him at school. Maybe society sees him, people with autism a certain type of all that going on. That can be tough for personal autism, and maybe he didn't have a good family life. I don't know, but and that's why he did what he did because he couldn't deal with it anymore. So he just took his anger out on people, on innocent people, and maybe people that did do him at that school, and he took it out on them. He took it out on all those people because he was angry, and I feel like that's what really was really deep down really what it is because he's angry now. Look what's going on now. I mean, because people, like I said, people treat people with autism a certain type of way that I don't feel like that they should, and people treat me a certain type of way. I remember going to school and people would bully me, like I said, and all this stuff, and I would do all this because of the fact that this was going on, and now that since all this was going on, it's like nothing I can't really do now anymore because now all this is going on. There's nothing I can do about it anymore. You know, it's just like it's like since I'm not in school anymore, it's not happening. But you know, it's not like the bullying with my at school is not going on. But like I could kind of see if people are still, if if people still are getting bullied, I can still see that because like here's this. it was to stand up and rating or whatever kid, right? He has autism, right? I think he has autism, right? He goes to school. I forgot how old he is, and people are literally swinging on him because, and I feel like the reason why they're doing that because they know he's not in them. Even if he could beat beat them up, he's not. They're not really. They're not. He's not really understanding the fight back that's what he needs to do is fight back if people are hitting him. And I feel like the fact that they know that makes me mad as a person with autism. That makes me mad because it makes me feel like, that they're taking advantage of what they know that they could take advantage of because they know that they can't. So they're gonna do it. So it's kind of like with me, it's like what I tell people. I always tell people I don't respect nobody who takes advantage of people that have autism. Anybody young or old, young, because you know that they're autistic and you know they're not in a certain type of mindset like everybody else is. So you're gonna take advantage of that, and by doing certain things that you shouldn't be doing, And I feel like I've been in situations in school and outside of school, just try to be friends with people, that that have that I thought had my best interest at heart, but they don't. But another thing, my mom always told me, even though we fight a lot, it's just that you know people are not your friend, and sometimes I don't want to believe her, but it's the truth, and people showing it in their actions that they're not my friend, bro. People showed it in their actions, just like that's just the case. People are not your friend, and what can I do? People are not my friend, bro. What can I do? Nothing about it because people get mad when I tell them this, that because they're mad because they don't like maybe what I'm telling them, but I'm just like that's on them. I can't control what they do or what they decide to do. All I know is that I know what I am at the end of the day, and I know what I stand for, or what I know what I not gonna tolerate and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of times, even when I was in school and even after going to school, a lot of times I have to fight because a lot of people feel like I have autism, or they know that I'm you know, mentally challenged as far as like with the autism thing, that they feel like that they could take advantage of me. And a lot of times when I tell my mom that I've been in a lot of fights, a lot of it would be because of that, because people saying and doing things that they feel like that they could take advantage of because they know I got autism, so they feel like they could take advantage of that. But I'm just like, that's not. I'm just like, I'm a person that I'm not gonna let that happen. Or even if it is happening, I'm not gonna let it continue to get this far. You know what I mean? And then afterwards, it's just like it's not only that too. Whatever. But so many, but and like not only that, so many things that I don't agree with my situation. Just a lot of people with all with autism that have autism that go through things probably similar to mine style that I probably heard on the news. Don't agree with it on the internet. People are gonna feel the same way about me. But like one thing too, I think if people that follow me on Instagram knew, I think I've mentioned Dr. Phil on there, so I can get my story. Yes, I wanted him to see it and respond to me because I wanted to get my story out there to let people know that I'm not the only one that goes through this, and let people know that you can overcome whatever you go through. That's a fact. That's a fact. And just explain my story, so like I said, so I can hear other people's viewpoint, how other people feel about it, But he didn't respond. He just looked at it. He just looked at it the first time I mentioned it, but the second time I did, he didn't look at it. But that's all I really wanted to share. I just hope you guys comment. I hope you guys comment on the YouTube when I upload it on YouTube. Comment, share. Just come on. I need y'all help. I need y'all's help.